Welcome back to the Relaxing Ghost channel here on YouTube. Today we got a top 10 list for you guys. This is going to be 10 superstars that missed the invasion angle back in 2001. This is not really referencing to the pay-per-view itself, but the entire angle that pretty much went from, June, July of 2001 till Survivor Series 2001. So the invasion angle is a guilty pleasure of mine. I love everything that went on during there, all the cool title matches we got to see, champion versus champions, and all the different guys coming in. But for some of us, we had to wait a little while to see some of these superstars return. These are going to be in no particular order here, but we do have about 10 guys who completely missed the invasion angle. Let's get into this with some of the more obvious ones. Goldberg in 2003, he would return. Of course, Goldberg, a really big name from WCW. One of their biggest superstars they created would never come to WWE. Of course, a lot of the guys had guaranteed money. They didn't care. They didn't want to break their contract and lose out on millions of dollars. Next up here, we have Hogan and the NWO. Of course, they would come in 2002. Just a few months after the whole thing died down. Next up here, we got Sting. Sting is a guy who was faithful to WCW. The franchise player, they called him the man of WCW. And Sting wouldn't even step in foot in WWE until 2014. So Sting's one of those guys that, really never came to WWE. He only had a couple of matches in WWE and, went into retirement. Next up here, we got Ric Flair. Of course, Ric Flair did debut the night after Survivor Series 2001, becoming business partners with McMahon and things like that. Wasn't really a fan of the whole, business partner storyline, but I was happy to see Ric Flair on WWE TV. Next here, similar to Ric Flair, Jerry Lawler. Again, same thing kind of, but this is more on the WWE side now. Jerry Lawler left the WWF after the No Way Out 2001 pay-per-view. The whole thing about his wife getting fired. And then Jerry Lawler, of course, would return to Survivor Series 2001. After Paul Heyman was fired, he would return to the broadcast booth. So now we're in the top 5. These are mainly WWE guys, except for one. Shawn Michaels. When we think of WWF, WWE, we tend to think of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels did not appear in WWE till the middle of 2002. Of course, he came in as part of the NWO at first, and then, he had his first match back, SummerSlam 2002. So had the invasion stuff happened a year or so later, we probably would have seen Shawn Michaels involved in the invasion angle, which would have been really cool. Next up here, we can kind of lump these two guys together. Chris Benoit was out with a neck injury, his neck injury. Of course, he got injured, right around the start of the invasion angle. King of the Ring 2001, I believe, would be his last match until somewhere in 2002. So he missed a whole year or so of action. Eddie Guerrero, kind of the same thing. But Eddie Guerrero was fired in May of 2001, and he would return around Backlash 2002. So Guerrero again missing almost a year, 10 months of action. Last two here, Triple H. Of course, Triple H suffered that quad injury the night after Judgment Day 2001. Triple H would return at the Royal Rumble 2002 and, pretty much bypass that whole invasion stuff again. And finally, Bret Hart. Bret Hart was pretty much the face of the WWE for several years. The whole Montreal screw job happened. Bret went to WCW, and then Bret Hart was severely injured by the hands of Goldberg. Goldberg would be, wrestling for a short term. He did appear in WWE, like I mentioned, but Bret Hart would be sent into an early retirement with, concussions and things like that. Bret Hart really had a downward spiral in his life after that incident. He suffered a stroke. He suffered, many issues and deaths in his family. Bret Hart would never return to WWE until 2010, where he, reconciled with Shawn Michaels, Mr. McMahon, and then had a match at WrestleMania 26. Similar to Sting, he, sporadic appearances, but it would have been really cool to see Bret Hart in the invasion angle. I think Bret Hart, versus a guy like Kurt Angle, that would have been an awesome match in my opinion. Bret Hart, one of the best out there to, miss a good portion of, the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era. Kind of sucks, Bret got injured, early on, before all this stuff even happened. Bret Hart left WCW, I believe, late 99, early 2000. They released him from his contract. So Bret Hart probably could have made a few appearances during the invasion angle, but it's kind of weird to look back at it. He would appear at the 2006 Hall of Fame, and that would be it for, another 4 years. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I didn't mention any of the ECW guys like Sandman, Sabu, Shane Douglas. You could add them on the list. Let me know who are your top 10 guys who missed the invasion. Take some time, hit that subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Peace.